Okay, I think we are live. So let's just pop over to the comment section and ask, as we always do, can you see us? Can you hear us? Does everything look okay? Sound okay? And Jeffrey, how's your week been? Are you Mr. Productive this week, or are you like me, Mr. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing a week?
I think it's like half and half. One moment I feel like, yeah, I'm being really productive. That was a great day. The next day it's like, what did I do? I'm missing something. But other than that, doing great. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm having one of those weeks where I cannot seem to get my brain to switch on to be creative with creating content. I have a complete blank of ideas, inspiration, and I'm like, I've recorded something this morning twice, and I'm like, no, I'm just doing that because I feel like I should be doing something, and it ain't working. I think if it doesn't feel right, it's pointless sort of pushing it. But as we probably both know, and anybody else that kind of does this thing, YouTube makes you feel like you have to be constantly creating, and it's a difficult treadmill to get off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're standing right behind you while you're on the treadmill with the whip. Like, nah, keep going, keep going. And remember that time? It was about last year when everybody's like posting burnout videos on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah, they just crank up the algorithm. They're like, you want to complain? We got something for you.
Yeah. So I've had one of those sort of weeks where I just feel like, do I just write the week off? And I very, very rarely ever do that. But it's like, do I just write the week off and think, I'm just going nowhere? So I don't know. Maybe I have one of those times where I do just write it off. I just wanted to check on my phone that we are actually coming through. So we are picture wise, but hopefully we are also audio wise as well.
Yeah,
So if
I
anybody,
noticed no countdown this time. We just went
no,
right in, huh? Yeah.
we did. We as they would say, we went in dry. We didn't mess about. We just went straight in there, and there was no sort of warming
Raw
anybody up.
dog.
It was just like, yeah, straight in. Anyway,
Right, raw dog style.
before we start going
Okay.
down a very strange route, I know we've got a couple of topics to talk about today, but there's two that I want to sort of start off with before we kind of go into the main topics. And I'm conscious of the fact that last time we did a live stream, I dropped us both in there straight away with a pretty sort of rough old topic. So I'm gonna not do that today. I'm not gonna do it today. How can I start this politely? I put a post up on X, I think either yesterday or the day before, about Elementor, and I logged into a site that I haven't been onto for a while. So it's got Elementor Pro on there. And the first thing I sort of did on there was open it up, and there's a new panel on my desktop, or on my dashboard, the desktop part of your dashboard kind of thing, for another tool that they're kind of promoting. And it says not installed, right? So in other words, the plugin is not even installed on my system, but they feel like they're totally justified to put a panel on my dashboard that has information about what this plugin would be doing if, as in like updates available, security, and all that kind of stuff. And it just made me go back, and this is probably what I was talking about earlier on when I recorded a video twice this morning. This was part of what I did, just to go back and get an experience of what it's like if I was a new user coming into using Elementor. And I don't want to rag on Elementor too much, but it's just getting so frustrating where they keep saying they're listening to what their users want, and people have been complaining about this stuff since they started doing it, and yet we're seeing more inside you and not less inside you. So, and what are your thoughts on this? For me, it just annoys the living shit out of me. It really does annoy me really badly. But maybe that's just me being sensitive this week. What are your thoughts?
I'm always sensitive. So yeah, I'm easily bothered. But no, that's a really good perspective to look at it from a new user's perspective. Like, what would the experience be like? So that's really interesting. I know when I started Elementor, all that wasn't there. And through time of using it, got kind of used to ignoring, put the blinders on, and, just stuff that irritability. Oh, am I showing? I don't see
Yeah,
myself.
yeah, yeah.
I am okay. On our thing, it just shows uh icon. That's it. Okay, but yeah, we've been asking for a lot of things, like to not have these constant pop-ups, but they just got to the point they just don't listen. But on the other hand, I don't know if this is, I have to like dig into it. I also went into Elementor last week to look at the recent updates. It's been a while since I jumped in to see what they're doing. I took an intentional step back because like V4 and all that was just such a mess. I just didn't have time to go through all that mess. And I saw a new feature where I think you could disable the pop-up ads, the distractions in the builder. I don't know if that's what it is. And if that is it, that should have been the biggest feature release announcement. You know what I mean? So,
If I'm honest, I think you may have had just a little too much mushroom tea and you were hallucinating that night, because I didn't see any of that there.
hey, it's chaga.
Okay.
What else is? Yeah, just chaga, everyone.
But it's just to kind of like sort of compound the annoyances, right? And again, this isn't specific to just Elementor. This was a kind of combination of Elementor and native sort of full site editor kind of thing. The Gutenberg editor and stuff. You literally, when I probably will release the video, I probably just have to be in a better frame of mind to do it. But it was like, as soon as you installed the free version of Elementor, you would take it into an onboarding wizard, okay? Which, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. If you were a new user, that was probably a nice way to do it. But all they were was skip buttons, but you had to go through all like 6 or 7 stages of it. There's no close and just go back. So if you were someone that was used to using Elementor, you were installing this, several times a week to work on projects, the fact you have to step through all that without any way of cancelling out of it is super annoying. But then when you get out of that, then there's a banner at the top, which if you're working with a free version, I've always said the same thing, that's okay. But I hate it where, as I think Max said, there's hijacking the dashboard of WordPress. And they start to add in multiple different panels and pop-ups. And the thing that really bugged me as well is if you install the Pro version and you go into the sort of, we call it the settings, the sort of homepage for Elementor that opens up all the different settings and things. There's a bunch of tools on there like Angie, their cookie consent and stuff like that. And the first 3 of them, I know at least 2 of them are paid features. The sort of the maintenance, the sort of the main WP, managed WP kind of feature that they brought in. It says add for free. And then the next one for Angie, add for free. And the cookie consent, add for free. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to click through the management one just to see if it is free. I know it's not, but let's just have a look. And as soon as you go in there, it's like, first of all, it pops up and says, start for free. But it's like, you only get to view things. You can't interact with it. So it basically makes it mostly pointless. And then we know that Angie isn't free. You may get a few free credits, but not enough to do any kind of real damage to your website. Do you know what I mean? But it annoys me where you've got these add for free. You can add the plugin or the feature for free, but you can't really use it for free. So I know it's PR, I know it's advertising, I know it's the kind of things that companies do. I just think it's a really shitty situation, a way to do it, where you get people that maybe are not that savvy with it. They'll click, they'll install it, and they'll start using it. And then, oh, bang, you've got to start paying for these things. And there's additional plugins added to your site and all this kind of stuff. It just feels like so many plugins and tools out there, they're more focused on just ruining the experience for the end user in the hope that they will either upgrade or accidentally install something they have to pay for. And because that company has their credit card details on file, because they're using the premium version, you may see automatic payments. I'm not saying they do. I haven't got any experience with this, so I'm not saying that that's what Elementor are doing. But just the fact that that could be the case with some plugins and tools, it just feels like it's a bad experience. And for someone like myself, it just means that I immediately would never recommend using it. I will never use it myself because I just think it's such a anti-consumer experience. But what do you think?
Well, I think this is just what happens when a company gets so big. Like all of a sudden it goes from focusing on the customer to focusing on profits. And I mean, you know, you get like a couple dozen marketers who sit around all day long just thinking of how can we get more from our customers. That's when we start to get bad decisions, you know, or decisions made that aren't really for the consumer, things that we don't necessarily like, but is good for the business. But at the flip side, man, it's like we are in such a good time right now because bricks is, you know, matured. It is solidified. And we're seeing a lot of people go into bricks right now. And I'm in the middle of creating my Design for Bricks course. And I decided to create this because inside of our community, most of the people inside of our community came from Elementor. And a lot of them came from my Elementor trainings. That's what I used when I built my agency. And it was really good at that time. I feel still it is good for newbies getting, you know, into creating websites and getting started quickly, starting to learn how to build sites for clients. But then a lot of people are starting to want to move forward, you know, getting a little tired of what we're, you know, seeing and stuff. And in the course, a lot of what I'm teaching is like going from Elementor to bricks. What is that like? And as I am teaching this, it is like a breath of fresh air. It is like, this is how it should be. And look at, I know, I told myself I wasn't going to say things I shouldn't say in a live stream. I can't help it. I got to keep it real. Last time I created the Elementor course, there was a lot of times I was like just cursing to myself. It was very stressful. There's a lot of things that were upsetting me. And I had to like, okay, cut that out. Okay. try to breathe. You know, I'm like, effing, and even my girlfriend's just like, oh my God, I hear you keep saying effing Elementor while you're recording. You know, but it's just like, now we got, I think it comes back to just like, you know, you get it turns into a big company. Things change, the culture changes, it becomes about money. And now we got other tools like Mosaic, you know, which is a small established team, something to look forward to, Builderist and more. And even look at Instatic. There is a lot of potential right there and a lot of interest. So we are in a good time, Elementor not so.
Yeah, I think they've made some really bad decisions over the years, but they keep on making them. That's the thing that cracks me up. It's like, but as you say, do you get to a point where you are just that big that you just think, I don't care? Because the number of people will lose conversion to the number of people we actually get on board that pay. One outweighs the other exponentially. So you're going to think, well, who gives a shit? Do you know what I mean? It's a sad case because it means then that the user experience does get worse and worse and worse. And like you just say, moving over to any of the tools that you mentioned there, I haven't seen one of them have an advert in there, an upsell in there, or any of that kind of rubbish, which is so much nicer. You know, you literally, I literally opened the Elementor editor up today, and it's like,
Cheers.
oh, there it is, there it is, there it is. Oh, no, it didn't work. You know, go into safe mode. Oh, geez. You know, and it's like, you just try, and not sort of like, we won't keep on saying about bricks because people will just say we're just bricks fanboys, and that's fine. You can say what you want with it. But looking at something like Phantom WP, Instatic, Mosaic, any of the Builderius, any of those tools, you click on them, you open the editor up, and the editor's open. It is there, ready to start working. And, you know, we talked about things like this in the past. We are seeing bricks has technical debt, because you can't help it. Once you have tens of thousands of sites running on that platform, you can't be as agile as things like Mosaic and stuff like that, which are new. They have small user bases, so making those breaking changes isn't such a big deal. You can afford to do it. But then you get people, this kind of cracked me up. If you were like a member of the Bricks community on Facebook, there's people going, every now and again, a post going, oh, I'm really annoyed at Bricks. It's taken so long. All we're getting is bug fixes and small incremental updates. They should be releasing updates every single week. It's like, you can't make some people happy. It's like, oh, you released this new feature, it's got bugs in it. And it's like, yeah, well, if you want new features rolled out every 5 minutes, there's going to be things like that going on. That's the whole point of small interim releases with small bug fixes in. Everything okay? Oh, your audio's gone. That's weird. So we've now lost Jeffrey's voice. Odd. We may have to kick him out and get him back in. Or we just kick him out full stop. I mean, yeah, we've got no audio from you this time, Jeffrey. So maybe I don't know if you want to jump back in, and we'll give it a try. See if that works. Good man. So while Jeffrey's gone, and well, I'll be polite. I won't say anything horrible about him. Obviously, be nice, as they say. No, we'll wait for Jeffrey to come back. But yeah, I think when you kind of consider the fact that you've got these kinds of tools now, like Mosaic and so on, everything is so much quicker to work with. It's a nicer experience. It's like working on a desktop application. It's like working in a non-web browser-based environment. But you very quickly realize then how slow it is to just fire up things like Elementor, and how many issues you potentially have just getting it to work. Because sometimes it just doesn't work. You've literally got to open it up, add it in, and see what the hell happens. Does it work? So Jeffrey, I think we've got audio now. Let's give it a try.
Check 1, 2.
Pardon?
Am I back?
No, you're not.
Are you serious?
No.
I can't tell because I'm too gullible, man. Don't do that to me.
I just got.
Good one, man.
Yeah, you are back. You are back. Everything's okay. There's audio. Yes. Thank you very much, Dave. Yeah. So just kind of saying, like, with regards to the experience of using something like Elementor, just opening the editor up can be painful, where you've got to set the right amount of memory and stuff like that in PHP. Now, the average user that may be installing something like this might not even have a clue how to do any of it. And that's the crazy thing, is you get all these fixes, but surely your platform should work on a smaller footprint when all these other platforms do without any real problems. So, yeah, as Imran says, at least Bricks are fixing the bugs, and all credit them for doing that. The ones that complain have probably never worked on major projects where bugs have been addressing first before new stuff. Exactly. What do you want? Do you want new shiny? Or do you want something that continues to work? Or there's a problem and they fix the problem? That's what I would rather have, a solid platform. And the biggest complaint at the moment, and I don't know if you've seen this, is like, oh, you said there's an MCP coming out for Bricks. When are we going to have it? Well, surely you want to have a solid platform with bugs and things like that ironed out before you introduce AI into it, which could then open up another can of worms. And it's not like you don't have any options. You've got like Nova Mira. There's multiple MCP tools out there that allow you to connect up to and use Bricks. So I don't see why people are so bent out of shape that it has to be the native integrated version of the MCP server.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see everything just built into the builder. I mean, the whole, that's a beautiful thing about WordPress, is that we could modulize things and only use what we need to use. And if we need to use more, then we could add more on top of it. To me, I would rather see that. And, so look at the mistakes like what Elementor has made with V4, adding too much into what already was really good. I mean, if they just kept V3 as it is, cut out all the stuff and listened to the users, it would still be just a solid, platform. On to the question, though, about, is AI making us dumber? Now, I know I know we talked about this last week, but one thing I've been seeing and hearing about on some of the channels that I follow on YouTube that, are covering what a lot of companies are doing with AI is how a lot of CEOs and founders are listening to AI and following instructions from it, following advice. And I know we've all tried. I've tried it, like, hey, create a marketing plan. Hey, which direction should I go in? Until you realize that the thing is an idiot and it's just playing Russian roulette, and it's not going to give you the same answer. It's not going to give you the right answer. And I gotta wonder, is this what the founders of Element are doing? Like, hey, should we just keep not listening to everyone and keep this in there? Yes, that's a wonderful idea. You are a genius. Nobody has made a better idea than that. Yeah. Oh my God,
And then you go, are you sure? And he goes, no, you're right. Maybe we should look at it from a different point of view. It's like, God.
It's happening. You know, people are making decisions that are impacting other people's lives. And it's like, I've been seeing this with AI right now. It is making a lot of people dumber, but it's also making a lot of people more intelligent. There's like two sides of the coin based on how it's being used. You know, the flip side, what we talked about last week, is like, say for myself, I'm a front end guy, more design, started off in front end dev, but I'm front end and going into the AI world and learning how to build and working on side projects and trying to understand everything has taught me more about things that I pretty much stopped learning a long time ago. When I started building websites and I would run across a bug, it was all code. I was trying to figure out solutions, jumping into Stack Overflow. But now I'm in Terminal. I'm doing things I never did before. I'm understanding things better. And it's actually improving. For me, it's teaching me a lot more. So I think there's a flip coin, and just wondering what your take is on this right now. Do you think it's making people more stupid, or do you think it's actually adding to the intelligence?
I think the first thing it's doing is making people lazy, because instead of them going to find out how something works themselves, the first thing they're doing is going to AI and taking whatever answer that comes back with. Like you said, using the example of your marketing and stuff like that, it is literally going there and asking it and thinking that it's intelligent. And I think this is the biggest misnomer when it comes to AI. It's a pattern recognition engine. It's not intelligent. It looks for patterns. Do you know what I mean? And this is why you see hallucinations, because where's it get its information from? The internet. So if it's looking at pattern recognition, I was talking to a partner about this the other day. Let's just say that you got 80% of a question's answer is the correct answer and 20% is incorrect. Okay, so the odds of getting a right answer are higher, because if it's a pattern recognition, it's going to go, well, 80% says this, 20% says that. So most of the time, it's going to come back with the answer based on the 80%. But now flip that the opposite way. Now imagine that there's information out there that it's 80% incorrect, 20% correct. When there's minimal human interaction to confirm or deny that the answer that the AI is giving you is correct or incorrect, and it's not being challenged on it to go back and look to give more basis on it, then what are we going to end up with? Because it doesn't understand. It doesn't have cognitive ability to look at it and go, right, that makes no sense. You know, we will question, as a human, you will question answers that don't seem to make a lot of sense. AI is not really programmed to do that. It looks for patterns. And if that pattern is the incorrect pattern, that's the predominant answer, well, that's where your hallucinations come from. And when that's more evident, then that's a problem. And this is why I think, I kind of like gone on a bit of a tangent here, but that's why I kind of think where we're talking about, Google search becoming totally AI based, and the results you see will be AI based. Even if it cites where it got the information from, most people are not going to go and fact check it. They're not going to go on there and see it's a Reddit thread, for example, which now, Google AI has a deal with Reddit to get information from there. Well, we know, if you've ever been in Reddit, you know it's a minefield and a cesspit of bullshit and some answers are good, some answers are just like all over the shop. Well, your pool of results are just getting more messed up. And we are just going to take that on board. And when Google starts to feed that back, we don't need to talk about the glue on pizza cheese or how many rocks should you eat. That your human brain goes, that's just dumb. We don't eat rocks. We don't need to put glue onto cheese on pizza to stick it to our pizza. That makes no sense. But that's an extreme example. When those examples are not extreme, well, there's going to be people that won't question it. And the more that we rely upon AI to be our answer engine for everything, that's where the dumbness comes from. That's where people are just going to get stupider, because they are going to believe what they see, because they go, but Google pulled it up. It's AI, so it's got to be right. It's like, no, it doesn't. But we'll lose the ability to question and cross-examine. That's the sad and scary thing. Less about being dumber, more about just being more and more lazy about whether the AI is right or wrong and our ability to identify and challenge it.
Yeah, that's it's kind of scary when decisions are made without like going to the gut, to that gut instinct, or putting in the
Yeah.
critical thinking. And I know, like when we start prompting, let's say we're building. I want to keep it focused on web design and like using this, you know, in our kind of workflows. When we start doing it, you can see all kinds of stuff spinning up, all kinds of stuff, and then it comes to a conclusion. Sometimes it asks answers. What do you think is going to be good for somebody to use this tool without becoming lazy? Like what do you see any kind of practices that somebody could utilize to still be productive while on the flip side not turning over their critical thinking or not, you know, sacrificing it or getting what's it called? Atrophy with
Okay.
the critical thinking, you know, because of not using it.
Yeah. I think the short side of things is where people just use it as a tool to create code for them. You know, sticking with the web design side of things. As we've already said, you need to understand what it is you're doing. If you don't have an understanding, then we know that AI can go in a direction it wants to go in. And we need to be able to steer it in the right direction. And I think that's part of the thing where once you get past the people with any kind of experience and knowledge, and you get more people that are coming into it, and again, taking the answer that they're giving or the first result that they provided without understanding the implications, that's where the dumber side of thing comes in. I think the getting smarter is where you've got people, like you say, you've been going down rabbit holes. I have. I know probably many people that are in the sort of the live stream today and maybe in the sort of the catch up when they're watching themselves. They are more, they're in this market. They're already in the game of building websites in whatever fashion, however complex, simple, whatever. So it's a tool that becomes useful for them because they can become far more productive. I think the cool and interesting side of things is where you want to go in directions that are maybe new to you. So like you say, you are now far more comfortable using like Docker, using Terminal. So you are experimenting and pushing into areas because AI means that if you want to take advantage of the best way of working in AI for whatever it is you're doing, you know there are additional tools and skills you have to learn. So you've got one of those brains that goes, I want to learn it. I want to absorb that so I can become more proficient and efficient and I can show people best practices as opposed to showing them the AI bro way, you know, which is surface level without any consideration or due diligence. It's just like literally, oh, you just ask it to do this. You give it full access to this, that, and the other, and you just let it go off. Crazy. That's, I think, where it's making people smarter because you can see, you can become more efficient, you can be faster, you can be more agile, adopting new learning, adopting new tools that allow you to expand what you can do with AI. That's where it helps to make people smarter because you're exploring tools and processes and methodology, and you're using critical thinking to go, well, I didn't get the result I wanted by using that, so how can I improve my chances of getting a good result? That's where you start to create your own sort of design MD files and stuff like that. So you start to understand the benefits of those and the implications. I think that's where it helps to make you smarter, but you have to be the kind of person that wants to take that path when it comes to using and adopting AI as an integral part of your business and the processes you employ. That's what I think anyway. I mean, again, anybody in the chat, please do give us your thoughts and opinions on this, but does that kind of mirror what your experience is and what you think is going to make smarter versus dumber?
Yeah, yeah. It's also the reason why I've always been saying that web creators, web designers, web developers, we have a huge advantage. Because before we came in and before AA came out, we had to do that. We had to go figure stuff out. And that's what it all is problem solving, is figuring things out. It could be something that seems so simple. And we spend 3 days and nights without sleep just trying to figure out that one simple thing.
Yeah.
But in that process, we learn a lot of things along the way, and we stack that over and over and over. That's how we get experience and knowledge. But, you know, for people who are new, that's who I worry about. You know, like that's for me, that's the thing that is the unknown. I feel like already those of us doing this, we are in a good place right now as long as we, you know, have the right mindset and look at it the right way and, you know, not really be anti and stuck in fear. Instead, approach it wanting to learn. But somebody new to this, so that is really what I wonder about. Like in 10 years from now, when a lot of us are retired, like I don't know if I'll be retired by then. Who knows? We'll have to see how good business goes in 10 years. I don't know. But yeah, that's just what I wonder. How do you think it's going to be for somebody who, let's say, in a couple years from now, somebody in their young 20s never learned, not even HTML, CSS, didn't learn Figma, not even the basics of Photoshop or anything like that, but they just use the AI tools. What do you think that learning? I know right now we're just kind of like rubbing the crystal ball, but I would love to hear somebody else's thoughts because this is something I've thought about a lot, but I can't see.
Well, I think if you look at a lot to do with, let's just say, I say the younger generation, but people that are coming out of colleges and universities and things now, they say they're coming into the workforce. There's a big push back against AI. And if you're considering that they are going to be the next generation of people coming into the workforce, yes, absolutely, there is a concern that what is the landscape going to look like? Is there going to be jobs there for them anyway? Because we're already seeing that there's a big problem with people coming out into the workforce and there's just nothing for them. They literally have no jobs that are available. I honestly do think, though, that what we're seeing right now will start to slow. I think we've seen this exponential rise of AI, and you kind of have to think that once it kind of starts to reach that plateau, which I think is what we're seeing now, where we're not seeing such massive jumps between each version of a particular AI platform. We're seeing smaller, specific feature jumps. Like, for example, Fable 5. Fable 5, apparently very good at the design and stuff like that. Well, if you kind of consider what Fable 5 is kind of being aimed at in comparison to more generic AI, which is kind of there to be good at everything, we're seeing specifics, which goes back to what we talked about in previous topics, where I think we're going to see more local LLMs that are going down that route, which will be very specific in their use case. So I think we're going to see a plateau. We're going to see a lot of places where AI is currently being used will start to diminish. I'm not saying AI is going to suddenly disappear in any way. It's not. But as with all technologies, we see this crazy rise. And AI is probably the biggest of all of these because it is such a widespread disruptor of all industries and general life. Where you've got people that are using this for their health advice, their medical advice, their relations, they're treating them like real people and stuff. We're in a kind of like this crazy world where AI is just like become this dominant thing in all aspects of some people's lives. That is going to start to plateau. We're going to see things like well, that doesn't make sense. People are going to move away from it. People get bored and burnt out with what AI produces very quickly. We start to see the patterns that all AI very quickly starts to present. We see it in images, you see it in code, you see it in design, all those things. You very quickly start to see it and identify it. So I think we are going to see changes there. And once that starts to settle down, then we're going to see where AI makes sense in the workplace and where AI doesn't make sense. And I think that's where, only then will we start to see what impact this will have on the people that are coming out into the workforce right now. And education is going to change as well. Education at the moment, excuse me, doesn't really factor into the level that AI is moving. So when people come out, they're unprepared for it. Well, once AI becomes more, institutionalized, then becomes more standardized, and there's going to be legislations about where and when, how it can be used. So again, governments are going to come in at some point and they're going to start to put laws in place for how this all works. That's going to have detrimental effects in some areas. So I think we are, again, to go back to the phrase I use over and over again, we're currently in the AI Wild West. And until things start to settle, I don't think anybody can really predict with any kind of certainty what that's going to look like in 6, 12, months, 10, so 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, we're kind of like just in a state of complete flux.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally hear you, man. And I feel that too. I feel like, things are starting to settle right now. It's kind of like what you said earlier, that it's a pattern recognition machine, and it's just a really fast one that draws on a lot of power, really, that took a lot of information. It's not really artificial intelligence, and I think that a lot, and this is just my thoughts right now, but I kind of feel like, you know, Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, everybody just wants the biggest piece of the pie. It's kind of like what I was talking about earlier inside of the stream, that companies, they just want the money. It all becomes about the money, and they just want to, even though they're losing money, they just want to get what they can. And I think too, it's starting to settle. And we're already seeing, I mean, how much further can it go? If it goes any further, it gets stopped by the government, So it's like, it can't really go too much further. It went just so fast.
Yes.
And yeah. So I just got to see where it goes. Have fun with it. Build what kind of tools you could build with it for right now. And it's an exciting time. At least I'll be able to say I am in this time. Right now, I'm reading a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it was like written in the 1930s. So interesting to hear stories of people like in 1911, what they grew up with and what they had to go through and what the norms were then. Very interesting, but we got it really good right now.
Yeah.
Like we got it really good. But there's a lot of fear out there. And this is something that I've been paying attention to because I have to, just for my own personal self-awareness. Because there was a moment last year where the fear hit me. And that was a moment where I built like my first web app in a couple of prompts. And it was like I created magic, like I discovered fire, and I want to tell everybody. I want to call my mom, like, look what I created. Even though I didn't build anything really, I just prompted something. And then that moment comes like, wait, holy shit, anybody could do this now. Like, uh-oh, what does that mean? And, the fear crept in, and I understand how it could creep in for us web creators. But then I worked through it, I processed it, and I realized that, okay, it's not what it seems. The layman, somebody has no experience, they're not going to be able to just use this and start creating their own web apps or whatever. Like, that's a ridiculous notion. I don't care how good it gets. You got to understand the nuts and bolts. You got to be able to read what it's putting out and understand. And if you don't understand, you got to go in and actually learn how to understand that. Or else you don't know what you're doing. You're just trusting this thing that gets a lot of things wrong. The reason why I've been noticing fear is lately I've been seeing that a lot of people are using fear. And things like firing hundreds of employees because it's AI. It's right now a very convenient way for companies to maximize their profits and to coldly dismiss people and disrupt lives of their employees that help them grow, all for the name of profits, and then blame it on AI. I'm not going to mention any companies right now. There's a lot of them, from very big to laying off thousands and tens of thousands of people to even in our industry laying off 100+ people. And then we have other bits of content and a post that just went viral last week where, somebody loses one client to AI and all of a sudden it's over. Game change. We are going to lose everybody. Nobody's going to need us in 1 year. And this is just spreading fear, all of it. And I think also the AI companies with this big promise of this autonomous thing, we are going to get to this level, this is going to happen. This is so good that it's too dangerous for you to use. All this is fear, and the algorithm loves fear. The machines out there that are controlling all this, they all love fear because fear is what drives people to pay money. It's what gets engagement. It's what captures attention. And it's what keeps everybody fighting each other as well and arguing over the stupidest and silliest of things. And I don't know if you saw that viral post from that logo designer.
Yeah,
from last.
you shared it with me, and I had a little look at it, and it was kind of like, I messaged you back and said, what always makes me smile in a wry kind of way is that people make these claims, but they never show the results. You know, it's like, I had a client and they designed their logo in 5 minutes and it understood all the aspects of their business and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, we're cooked. Well, show us the logo. Seriously, show us the logo. The one thing that people always seem to miss out in any of these conversations, and again, it is something we've talked about in the past, is they don't consider human nature. You know, we've had every couple of years, we have these different emerging technologies, maybe not, like I say, as disruptive as AI. These emerging technologies that means that the typical person can do things, whether it's build a website, create a logo, whatever it is, right? There's been platforms to do all these things for years. But businesses are still busy. You know, yes, some businesses fold. Unfortunately, technology will always affect businesses. And for whatever reason, it could be a million different reasons why. But people don't care about doing things themselves. You know, you've been able to build a website by using Wix and Squarespace and God knows what. How long have you seen online creators outside the WordPress web space, or outside the web design web space, talking about Squarespace? They're promoting Squarespace. I mean, you see photographers, you see all different kinds of creators being sponsored by Squarespace. Yet, WordPress is still bigger than Squarespace. It's bigger than Wix. There are so many different platforms out there that will do these jobs and make them easy. You pick a template, you put your details in, it builds a lot of it out for you. Cool. Why do most people not do that? Because they realize they can be more effective making money for their company or for themselves. They don't have the design ability, or they just want something that doesn't look like 10 other people's websites, all promoting the same kinds of things. It's why they come to professionals. You can change the wheel on your car. You can change the brakes on your car. Well, unless you've got a newer car where it's all locked behind some software paywall. But why don't people do it? Because they go to a garage because they would say, I would rather you do this and I'll pay you because I know, A, my brakes are going to work when I stop the car, generally. You've tightened up all 5 nuts on my wheels to the proper torque settings, so my wheel isn't going to fall off. But you could do that. You could go buy the tools to do it. You could buy the ramps to jack your car up. You can buy the torque wrench. So you can make sure all these things can be done. Why don't you do it? Because you don't want to. You would pay someone to do it because they're skilled and qualified in that job, and they will probably do the job better than you. So therefore, you'll pay them to do it because it takes that thought, pressure, whatever it is, off you, and you can just leave it go. Sorry, I was just looking at a comment then.
Got called out there. No, Paul, I think you're wrong. Hey.
What's that? Compare the results for the same prompt today and 2 years ago. We're still in a transition. Which bit am I wrong about, Max? Please do tell me, because I'm not sure which bit you're talking about. I've been off on a rant for 5 minutes, so I don't know. But that's fine. We can disagree. We don't have to all agree. We've all got our thoughts and opinions. Max, you're wrong. You're talking rubbish. Get out my live stream. Get lost. You're not welcome ever again for having an opinion.
Like I said, I'm just like AI. I'll get it right 80% of the time, 90%, you know, and yeah, 10 to 20%. It's like, oh yeah, you know what? I was wrong. You were right to give me pushback. Look,
right.
We're all growing and evolving with this. Like, this is the Wild West right now. Things got crazy for a bit. Yeah, the dust is settling. Now we can start to see things a little bit more clear, but it's still settling. My thing is like, if you lose one client to AI, the world's not going to end. We lose clients. You could lose client to somebody who just wants to build a website themselves using Wix or Elementor, or maybe they just don't have the funds and they'd rather pay somebody on Fiverr a couple $100s to do it. Maybe their business isn't doing that well. There's a lot of reasons why we lose clients, and what gets me is that, you know, when it's a content creator or somebody who's got a social presence loses one, you know, like putting that out there, it does not add value. It does the opposite. And I felt that that post or the message, I think he was trolling. I hope he was trolling. If he wasn't trolling, it's more of a mindset issue that maybe you need to get the hell off of social media and pick up a book. You know, don't go to Claude, go to God. Don't
Well, the
prompt,
funny thing
pray.
is, when I'm actually things like that, I sort of tend to go and read the comments and get an idea about the person if it's someone I don't know. And going through some of the comments and some of the pushback that he kind of got on that comment, apparently he is a well-respected designer kind of guy.
Yeah,
Written a book that's released it
very.
quite recently and stuff. I don't know him. I know nothing about him, so I can't comment on that. But people do put controversial takes on things up onto social media to get feedback and get interaction and engagement and stuff like that. So
Could be that.
who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows? You know, it could be a multitude of
He
different
was trolling.
things. Yeah, well,
Okay, that's it has to be trolling, you know. But I have seen others as well. You know, my thing is like if you do lose a client, don't freak out. You know, if they lose it to they want to build their own site with AI because you're going to lose clients. Now, if you're losing 30, 40, 50% of clients to AI, then that's a different discussion. We need to really look at things and yeah, we need to start to reevaluate stuff. But a client here or there,
but if
that's
you are,
natural.
yeah, exactly. It's the ebb and flow of business. But if you are losing that many clients, that kind of large percentage, then maybe what you're offering as a business is too narrow. You are literally just offering website building. Do you know what I mean? Because then the technical aspect, I'm sure you know the same thing because you've been doing this, you've been in business for a good few years, and I'm sure several other people inside the chat will know the same thing. You don't just build websites for people. You don't. Generally, your client isn't just a come in, pay you a deposit, build a website, pay the result, sorry, and then just that's the end of the relationship. It doesn't tend to work that way. You have more things like hosting, maintenance plans. You may be advising them on the best way to actually solve the problem that they're coming to you with. If you are just literally just churning sites out, you are going to lose probably a bigger percentage because you are just literally a production line of websites with nothing more to add to your value. You're just literally not offering any more value than that. Then you are probably going to lose a big percentage. But when you are a more rounded business, that you are doing things like you're handling technical aspects, you're handling all different aspects of their business. You become their business partner with to do with like maybe SEO, content management, even sort of content structure, all those kinds of things. They are things that AI does not do well. Do you know what I mean? I give you an example. It's slightly different, but how people are sort of leaning on AI and they don't realize that maybe it isn't the right thing for them. My partner is working with a company, and what she does is she helps companies with the tendering process, helps them improve their chances of winning tenders, whether it's government tenders, private tenders, and stuff like that. Well, part of the tendering process is you get questions you kind of have to answer. And this company that she's done some work with have answered the questions in what they think is the right way. And then they've put that through ChatGPT to confirm and cross-reference it with the documentation. And it's come back with like scoring like 96% in comparison. And then she's gone through it and she's come back with a ton of things that are not necessarily done the right way or haven't been answered correctly or to the fullest detail that this particular tender would require. Now, if she wasn't part of that process with that company, they would go, we've got an amazing chance now of getting through. We're scoring 99% on our answers to this tender. Where the reality is, they push that over then to the body that makes the decisions on the tenders, and they just go, well, you didn't answer what we wanted there. You just literally just said, yes, we provide this, but you didn't go into detail. We need the detail. But ChatGPT scored the 99%. So they gain this false sense of security thinking they've done an amazing job when the reality is they've maybe scored really 50, 60%. The 40% is the thing they're going to lose on. Now imagine that 10 companies all bidding for the same tender did the same process. They used AI to help them answer the questions. They used AI to check their answers against the questions to cross-reference it, and they all come back with this 95+% result. Now imagine that body that actually is going to assess whether they get through to the next stage of the tendering process just goes, right, we're going to put all these into an AI platform and see how much AI has been used. We can see there's already platforms out there that say, check for AI. Well, they come back and they go, well, 10 out of the 12 you've got are already using AI to answer all this. And they're basically answering the questions in exactly the same way. The only thing that's different is the verbiage. And it's kind of like, what do you think that's going to do? That's going to mean that you probably, those 10 companies will go, right, unless these other 2 companies are absolute shit, we're just bidding those off, we're just sacking them off. So this is where I say that the reliance upon AI, to go back to our previous kind of thing, is potentially detrimental in more ways than you are kind of thinking. You think you're doing a good job in something by using it, but the reality is it's actually harming you.
Yeah, that's a good point on that false sense of security that it's giving. And you also mentioned about why clients are with us. Clients, they want us to give them security. They want to know that, we have somebody taking care of us. And if it's all just being turned over to a prompt and to, something that's automated, it's just a false sense of security. And pretty soon our card is going to get pulled. We're going to get discovered. Yeah. Last week I had a post for a job and I put it out on a platform. And in 12 hours, I had over 200 applicants. And out of 200 of them, I would say maybe about a dozen mentioned my first name in it. And not one person did any research into my brand, to the company, didn't mention anything about it. It was like within 10 minutes of the job post going out, I already had 50 applicants. Everything was automated 1000%. And I was like, this is useless. I can't get any sense of this.
Yeah.
And I've also seen some of that stuff out there right now on social media about it's difficult finding a job right now coming out of the workforce. Look, I understand things are more challenging now. But dude, I lived on Skid Row for 10 years, and excuse me for not being weak and soft about this. I think a lot of it is bullshit. I think that it's up to the individual to go after something. Because you also hear a lot of people are like, yeah, I put out 1,000 applications this last week and nobody responded back. How can you possibly do that? When I went and got my job, I spent a couple of weeks researching, planning, rehearsing. I did everything. I knew everything about that company. I prepared for it and went after that job, not just used AI to spin up tons of applications. So I think right now, this goes back to what the algorithm wants to push, that fear. They want us to think that things are so bad when really people aren't taking responsibility most of the times. I understand there might be less jobs, but come on. If I needed a job, dude, I'm sorry, dude. I like coming through, try not eating for a week. Try sleeping like in a nook and cranny, or on a sidewalk, and then understand, what you got to do to actually go after something. And I think there's no grit. And I think it was Joe Rogan that said something like, hard times creates, soft people, and then soft times creates hard people. And I think right now, like, we got a lot of softness going on.
Well, AI is just making people lazy. This is the thing. It's like, and I think this kind of just goes full circle back to what I just said about people wanting reality, want real people, as in like. Yeah. If everything is AI, you're going to dig through all the AI BS to get to that, right? There's jokes that Mr. LYT, Mr. Light Box kind of thing. It's like, but the reality of it is, if that's what you put in there, chances are, how many times you've had an email come through and it's come through, dear WP Tuts, or dear Light Box, or dear friend, and it's like, all you've done is you've literally just mass sent an email out. And sometimes you've forgotten to put the actual, the short code in there to actually put the right name in, or you literally have just gone to my YouTube channel and you think my name is WP Tuts or Mr. Tuts or something. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you immediately disqualify yourself from me taking any interest in what you're offering me or talking to me about. And I think the same would probably go with job applications. If you had some way of saying, right, okay, I'm going to take these 1,000 job applications, I'm going to run them through a AI checker and just come back with the ones that are not using AI, those you would probably just bin off the AI ones. And there could be some amazing candidates in there.
Yes.
But they've already shot themselves in the foot by taking the fast, cheap, and easy way by using AI to be that thing that means that they can put out 100 sort of job applications to 100 different people within the space of 5 minutes.
Man.
It's just a stupid way of doing it.
And it would be so easy to stand out. Like in that application that I put out, I would have crushed the job. Because I would have been like, look it, I know you're getting spammed by a bunch of AI, and I'm not going to do that to you. I want to let you know that I looked at your, your brand. I see, and get into something a little bit personal. Show that you took the effort, and instantly you would stand out from everybody who is spamming, who is just going in and taking the shortcut. And it's going to be like that too with us. We have to treat our clients like that as well. We can't get to the point where we automate and spam our clients with, that false sense of security. We got to like be in there and like show, dude, we are here. We got your back. We might use these tools, but we're not offloading them.
No. There's one thing I always sort of tried to do when I was running the sort of the web design business, and people would sort of come in. I would try to find some common ground, something that you had in common with that person. It could be a musical kind of thing. It could be something in business. It could be a sport. You could like something you found out about them, like mountain biking or something. Because having that human connection where you have this kind of common ground helps create a relationship, even if it's a very quick kind of thing. But when you can kind of show a connection to something that they're passionate about, and you are never going to get that by using AI because everything becomes totally impersonal. And this is the thing I think we're going to see an awful lot more of, is more people and more companies detaching themselves from any kind of human connection, and we're just going to end up with everything being this kind of like faceless wall of AI generated BS.
Yeah. Got to worry about Elemental right now. I mean, no, for real, all the people that they let go, like who did they let go? Like it's, is it support? Is it the people helping out with the community? Is it the people that's actually engaging with their customers? Are you going to now try to save money and, use automations and AI chats that you set up? And I think this goes back to that, delusion that CEOs get because they think this is a great thing, and it's a way for them to make money. Our clients, we're going to have clients that discover Lovable or something, and they're going to be like, wow, I never have to hire anybody again. And they'll either learn and actually like go down the rabbit holes and figure it out, but that's going to be very few. And then others are going to learn the hard way. They're going to need somebody to come help fix it, take over, or do something. It's just unfortunate when we see these CEOs, man. I don't mean to laugh, dude, but it's so stupid, dude. It's like, I don't know what to say. I did the same thing as you that you mentioned in the beginning. I created 2 videos so far on this, and I scrapped them both. And I told Reno, I said, if you ever see me make my video about V4 and what I think, it means I had a really bad day. Because then I just say F it. Like let's let rip. Let's burn some bridges.
I think I burned any bridges there a long time ago. So it's like, because
dude, they burned the anyway. Okay.
It's foot in mouth time now. I can bring Max's comment up, so I don't want him to think that I'm kind of bypassing this. And no, I don't think you're trolling. I never think you're trolling, Max. Like I say, you are a very integral part of the live streams and the community and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So I think you're wrong to say it's not intelligence. Well, betting people want to stick to plumbing the old-fashioned way. I'm not saying it's perfect yet, though. Not 100% sure where we're going with that. But I don't think AI, as we know it right now, is particularly intelligent. If that's what we're talking about, I think it is mostly pattern recognition. I think you see that in some of the answers that it kind of comes back with. But we can agree to disagree. It's fine. It's no problem at all. Everybody's experience is different. The the tools and the way that you've been working may mean that you see it in a different way to what I do, and that's perfectly fine. We don't have to read.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun.
I get it. I understand, and I just watched a video. You know that one channel I sent to you, that girl who just kind of like, she's hilarious, but she's like just straightforward about what things are going. Well, she just like did a video on Brown University.
Right.
Very interesting one, because like at first you're reading, like listen, like seeing what happened. The professor gave all the students a test to take home and do it on their own, and like there's an overall like 98% score. Like, most of them scored 100% on the test, where the average score is usually 65%. So he came back in a few weeks later and said, okay, everybody needs to retake the test here. And like instantly half the class just dropped out, never even came back. And like the rest scored like 10%, and then like, your first thing is like, oh, AI is just making everybody dumb, everybody's cheating. But then she went into like, the test is about stuff that is really stupid. Like it's about things like prove that gravity exists. Like things that
Yeah.
aren't really going to help us out.
Yeah.
So people are just learning these tools. They're like, dude, okay, I don't need to learn why gravity. Okay, yeah, Newton, da da da. I already know. Why do I need to spend days trying to answer that question? So I could kind of see that point that it's not stupid. It's still intelligent, but it's stupid. I don't know. It's like a paradox right now. I could easily confuse myself. I do got one quick funny story that just happened to me today, though.
Go on.
I've been on this fitness journey, working a program, and I've had one chat open on Claude while working this program. And today I asked it a question and said, I have to be honest with you. I recognize a pattern and I can't help you anymore. I really think you need to see a therapist. And it would not answer a question. I tried so hard to get it to answer something, and it just refused to answer anything anymore. It said, I could find a really good therapist for you in Chiang Mai.
Now, the scary thing is, if you'd had agents there, it probably would have phoned up and booked a session for you. So you would have been, oh, crack on.
Yeah, so, yeah, take that. AI for the win on that one. Oh, man.
It is true. Yeah, so I think we could probably talk about a few other things here. One thing I do want to sort of say before we kind of wrap this up, before we start to get into the crazy territory, I want to sort of quickly talk about the communities that we kind of both running. And I won't go into too much detail here because I think this is something we're going to do a video in its own right in the near future. But communities, I think, are definitely something we're going to see a lot more of with regards to the way that social media is going. And to kind of go back to your point about how we are being basically conditioned into certain ways with lots of negativity and lots of things that generate reactions. Yeah. Like we get peed off with like the AI bros and stuff, but I'm sure, I know you stay away from the majority of social media, but you use YouTube. And you can't help but very quickly realize that YouTube is pushing certain things towards you. You watch one video, for example, and then suddenly you start to see a lot of negative-based things. Like obviously, there's a lot of things going on in the UK. I know you are potentially, talking about America and stuff and being an American. I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of stuff there to do with that. And there's an awful lot of negativity and a lot of mental manipulation, I would like to say, that conditions your mind into a certain way. And I've noticed it over the last couple of weeks, to be honest, and I'm trying to fill my YouTube feed with far more interesting, positive things. But even doing that, you still see the same things, that these kind of like things to kind of make you feel vocal about what you think and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? This kind of like that. And I think this is a big reason for me, and I'm pretty sure it probably is for you as well, without putting words in your mouth, why you want to have your own community where you're in control of the content, the overall messaging, and the feel inside your community. So you can keep it as a space that you don't have to let anybody in, and you can kind of I say control because control sounds like a really bad thing. But what I mean is maybe curate the user base and the content and the just overall feeling that that community has to be far more supportive, less negativity, less kind of just have more control over how it all works. So how are you finding that? I know you are coming to like the very, very final part of moving away from Circle, which is something I did myself probably about like 8 or 10 months ago. And to give credit as well to Jewel, which I'll let you go into a little bit more detail there from WP Managed Ninja and how he's helped you. But I mean, how are you finding the transition over to away from Circle over to Fluent Community, and just how you want your community to actually kind of be run and perceived and everything as for members and things?
Yeah, man, the community side is huge, and I feel like this could be its own discussion for sure on its own. To fill up a whole hour because to me, it's always been important. We need it more, I feel, now than ever, especially real human connection. Uh, I don't trust things being on Facebook. That's where I started. When I started the building businesses with Elementor, it was when 2020 hit. A lot of people were losing jobs. There's a lot of hopelessness out there. And, being what I've gone through in my past, I know what hopelessness feels like. And I knew I had to do something. And that's where it all started, where this whole journey started. And it's just been a blessing. The community side, though, I feel now I'm so grateful that we have been doing it because, yeah, I just believe that this is the time we really need it. When there is a lot of that insanity out there, things are really bad with social media. Once I got out of it, things became really, really clear. And every now and then I'll dip my head into it just to like get the temperature, see what's happening in the Bricks community, inside the Elementor community, and in WordPress and Dave's group. And I don't engage. I've already made the commitment, like no matter what, I will not engage in social media anymore. I quit it because I don't believe humans are capable of engaging in it. I think it just brings out the worst of people. But then when we have a community like what we have inside ours, we don't see that. We don't see the worst of people. We don't see people putting each other down. I mean, and the truth is, when you go on social media, a lot of people who are just putting people down for no reason, putting out stuff that is just really bad, they're acting out in a way they would never act out if they didn't have it. And a lot of people they're, going against, they would probably be really cool together if they really met in real life. This is why I feel like we could talk for a very long time on this. It's a big, big topic, but just to like sum it up, we did move over to our own self-hosted platform on Fluent Communities, and I'm so grateful for Jewel, everything he did. He came and helped out. His team helped out. We're able to migrate everything over from Circle. And dude, we are really lucky to have Fluent Community, something that we can self-host. Because I thought when I was going from Facebook to Circle, I thought I was liberating myself, liberating my community from the grips of basically a really evil company. I mean, there's no other way around it. It's a wickedly evil company ran by evil people with very bad intentions to cause harm to humanity, all for greed. And I just traded to another platform that kind of just put his grips on me. That if when it got big enough, just like as soon as a company grows to a certain size, it becomes about money. They get marketers, and they're all about thinking about how much could we take from our users. It stops about being about how much could we give our customers, how much could we do for them, how much value could we provide, to how much could we take from them. There's always that threshold, and once that threshold is crossed, well, now that company's gone in a different direction. Yeah, man, I got a lot of wind on this one, so I'm just going to turn it over to you now because you're also on the same journey as I've been on, and there are others as well. And I really look forward to seeing many others. It doesn't even just have to be a content creator; it could be anybody just creating, communities where they could bring in their own values, like how they want to see it. Like, everybody here in this chat so far has been here because they want to learn. They don't want to put people down. They want to, they got good intentions. So everybody here that has been listening, they're more than capable of just creating it doesn't have to be massive, but create something to create that human connection. We don't have to do this alone. And as web designers and developers, too often we are alone trying to figure this out. You go online and you see, people like this logo designers, it's like AI's, nah, I quit, dude. AI's taking everything. And they're just trying to get views. Like Imran said, he's like, nah, dude is trolling. Like, good looking out on that, Imran. But yeah, dude, that's where I'm at with all of it. So yeah, I'll turn it over.
To be honest, for me, it's one of those things that, I mean, years ago, before I sort of did the WP Tuts kind of thing, I used to like run a forum for a website they used to run, which has always been education stuff. There was more Photoshop and stuff like that, and Dreamweaver and things. And I find the community is a lot more like that. It's a lot more structured. It makes a lot more sense. Facebook is all about pushing what it wants to the top. Groups are better than the normal feed, it has to be said, and much better than Facebook pages. But it's still, I think it's still a really bad user experience. We talked about this right back at the beginning of today's live stream. The user experience seems to be the last thing in a lot of these companies' minds. And what I like about having our own community is the fact that it's logical. It's like there's a post that's gone up today, the post is at the top. The post that went up before that is underneath it. Not the post from 7 days ago is at the top and the post I just posted right now is 10 posts down the page. It kind of feels like it makes more sense. It's like, it's liberating. I keep using that word today. It's like my word of the day, toilet paper stuff. But it's like, it's a liberating experience to be in control of the experience for other people, but also, and I'm sure you probably feel the same, because it's your community and you like the people that are in there being part of that community, you want to give them more value. I creating things that are completely free inside my community. And you can join my community for free. You don't have to pay to join it. But I would rather do it there than do it and just dump it up on Facebook or something. It's like, because I want the community to become a positive space, but also somewhere where you come to get value. Whether that value is asking a question and getting an answer without being called a dumbass or a chump, where you've got content that I can find out what are people struggling with, what do they need, and I want to sort of be able to, if I can, create some content to fill the gaps, whether that's like maintenance plan outlines, whether it's email sort of sequences for people that have late payers, all those kinds of things, offboarding and stuff like that. All these are things that you can get access to, dedicated and unique content. But also, you and I have been talking about a few things, not to go into too much detail, but a big part of what myself and Jeffrey and Jimmy from like the Webinar and stuff like that, where we have communities, is that we want to have connections between all of our communities where we're going to have an overlap of people that are in all of those communities, but we're also going to have people that are part of Jeffrey's, part of mine, part of Jimmy's. And we want to have some way in which everybody in all those communities, if they're interested, can enjoy and be benefiting from things, whether it's like cohorts where myself and Jeffrey and Jimmy are there and we're talking about a particular topic. They'll be unique inside only those communities. And that's, I think, something we're going to see more of, because as we see more of our content just basically being scraped and used by AI to answer AI-based questions, we already lose tons and tons of views because of those things. We know it. We're down, most of us, we talked about it before, we're like down 70-75% on views over what we had 2 years ago. That's painful. So why would we keep giving all that stuff away for absolutely free when we can have a community which keeps the AI out and allows us to give value to the people that want that value and build a community that helps and talks and supports each other? That's what I want from my community. And I know where we've talked, it's something that I think we're both pretty passionate about, having those communities for our users and making them as valuable as possible, but also safe spaces where you don't feel stupid for asking what is considered by yourself a basic question. We all started somewhere. We've all got to learn, we've all got questions, and sometimes it's nice to get a human to come back and give you their opinions and thoughts and not some AI generated answer that's just scraped from 50 websites. Oh, your audio's gone again, is it? Oh, well, we've lost Jeffrey's audio again. Yeah. This is kind of weird why the audio just suddenly disappears and drops out. Can you still hear me, though? Yeah, you can still hear me, okay. Do you want to jump back in so we just wrap things up? Good man. Okay, so while Jeffrey's doing that, what we've got here, let me just quickly take a look at some of the comments. Now, I did see one earlier on that I wanted to sort of go back to. Hang on. That's where Paul wants to go back to the Gilded Age with protected artistry and protected labour. Hey, come on, calm down now. Stop putting words in my mouth. I'm all for modern technology, but I do think when it just basically just screws over the people that actually take the time and effort to create that, it is a bit of a piss take. So, yeah. And Jeffrey's back.
Okay. Can you
There
hear
we
me?
go.
Okay? All right.
I can.
Yeah, that's weird.
I can hear you okay. Yeah. So that's kind of like what I want. And I think when we've talked, I think we're probably both very, very much on a similar kind of wavelength when it comes to our communities and having the ability to support each other's communities in whatever way we can. You know, I think I'm probably talking for the both of us there. Would I be right?
Absolutely, dude. This is it right here. I mean, this is why I do it, so we can connect. So, people aren't alone. So I don't want to be alone, like we could do this together. And, yeah, okay, I'm getting stuck right now.
Okay, well, I think
Yeah.
we've gone over the hour, so we're into off the rails territory.
Yeah, the brain is starting to slow down a little bit. It's evening time over here. But
It is.
yeah. The connection. It's about building that. And definitely right now and going forward, this is where I see things going. I see things really changing big time. And I'm just glad that we're doing this. So yeah, learn more about Jeffrey, the Lightbox Academy. Maybe what would be cool is we could always come back on another one and open it up and show and see what it's like. I think that would be cool as well. And, there are going to be others who are maybe running Facebook communities or doing something else that could also get ideas and see. Because like we were talking, it is a learning experience, building a community, being able to structure it. I've gone through so many different pivots on different directions. A lot of the times I just didn't know what I was doing, to be quite honest. A lot of trial and error. And it's a lot of work. And I think it could help people out to see, more about it. In case if anybody, maybe they're running a Discord or something and want to do something on their own. And right now, Fluent Community is good. And you pair that up with a new Fluent stack, like that's pretty awesome stuff.
It is, and it's not a crazy expense like you have very quickly mounting up with Circle and School and stuff like that. So even when I say I'm close to shutting down the Web Squadron Facebook group, managing it takes time. It does.
Oh, yeah.
But I think to go back to what Jeffrey said, and like I say, we'll wrap things up in a minute anyway. But when you've got Facebook, you start to get very quickly potential toxic elements coming in. We see it in lots of different groups. We see it in the BRICS communities and stuff like that. And I think that's just the nature of Facebook, because Facebook is suggesting your group to people that maybe don't know anything about you. And they just sort of join up. And then you get people that just want to spam and stuff like that. These are kind of annoying. And I think that having your own community means that you have a better level of control over that. And that just makes it a better experience for everybody. So yes, like Imran says, unless you've got moderators or admins as part of your Facebook group, it can very quickly become overwhelming if you get a sort of spate of junk and spam and all that kind of crap coming in and spoiling it. It is easier. Thankfully now the Jewel and Co have kind of introduced a lot more features into managing content inside the communities using Fluent Community. Things that you absolutely need to have in there. It does make things a little easier. And as Jeffrey says, if you are thinking about doing it, I would say running a community like that is an absolutely brilliant way of doing it. Yes, there's a setup But if you pair that up with like Fluent CRM, you have a very powerful platform to work with.
And I got to say real quick, Max, appreciate you, man. I mean, for real. And next time I will show the hair just for you, dude. All right. Because I appreciate, the value that's being brought here. And I definitely recognize it, man. That's what makes all of this awesome. It's not just, or else it'd be just these two guys just jabbing away and talking shit about Elementor all night, which we do enough on the side.
It is true.
Hey, just one thing I want to add, though. I just had an idea, all right, for anybody who is thinking of communities. I've been seeing others doing this outside of like web design communities. If you get a certain amount of clients, you could always build a community with your clients as well. And I'm seeing other smaller businesses, small companies do this with their customer base. They invite their customers to the community. The customer's got a place to ask questions. And imagine that, let's say you got 20, 30, 40 clients. You invite them to the community. What kind of experience would that give your client? And one thing I'm noticing, too, things are changing. The way we market ourselves and find clients, it's changing. It's those who are actually out there building and putting themselves out there. I just saw a channel today, tattoo artist. Like right now, I'm getting some work done and was checking out this dude. He just is always like filming his tattoos, experiences and stuff. And now he can't book people for a year because he gets so many clients. His work is good, but it's like, it's what he's been doing. So, just want to throw that out there. There's a lot of advantages to building clients, but yeah, that's it for me. I know my girl, she's like, you said 7.
Yeah, we've definitely gone over today. Right, well, I'm going to let Jeffrey go and have his lunch, tea, supper, tea, whatever it's going to be.
Ed.
Well, say no more. Well, you go and have an enjoyable evening. Anyway, and I'm just on lemonade, so I mean, God help us. All right. Anyway, as always, as always, been an absolute pleasure, and we will do this probably again in another 2 weeks. Yeah, should be okay if everything's okay with us. But as always, if you've got comments and things that you want us to cover, drop a comment in here, become part of the communities, let us know the kinds of things you want to be involved in. Jeffrey, thank you again for being part of today's live stream. Thank you, everybody, for comments, questions, everything else you kind of get involved in. That's what makes these kinds of things fun for us. But until next time, have a fantastic day, evening, weekend, whatever it's going to be. And Jeffrey, I will speak to you probably tomorrow.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for being here. It was a good time.
Cheers, guys.